Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zang here, and today I am back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 17 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We're just going to jump back onto the ladder, currently using the team that I brought to the London International Championships. Of course, I will be doing a team report on the previous team that was on Road to Ranked, which of course featured Torkoal, Lilligant, Oranguru, and all the other cool Pokemon that you saw. So yeah, we'll probably use this team for a little bit and then switch to another team pretty soon. And like I mentioned, the last couple of days have been a little bit erratic in terms of uploads, because of course I was at London competing and currently under final exams, but I only have one left and I finally have some free time to be able to record. So we'll do my best to basically bulk record a couple of episodes and get them up for the next couple of days, and then I'll be back home for winter break. But our first opponent of the day is actually rocking a Lilligant Torkoal team, but a Sylveon there, that's something that I have not seen very much of at all this format. Finishing that core is Salamence, Tapu Bulu, and the Togedemaru. So probably botched the pronunciation of that, but yeah, if he didn't have Torkoal, like Pelipper would be really good here. But Torkoal obviously just changes the game up a lot, and it's a very frustrating Pokemon to play up against, because the thing is, the Torkoal always gets the sun up, and that's what makes it such a deadly combination. Like, you can't lead in opposing weather to shut it down. Instead, you have to basically switch in, and that can be really frustrating if they go for a Sleep Powder predict and manage to land it on the first turn. So that'll make things a little bit difficult. I'm thinking I'm going to lead Tapu Lele though, because what Lele does is not only does it pressure against the entire team, but it also specifically can one-shot Torkoal with the Psychic Z move. So basically forces my opponent to Sleep Powder on the first turn, otherwise I'll just be able to pick up a knockout. I'm not going to lead Pelipper, but I'm definitely going to consider having it in the back. And of course I probably want to consider, you know, in the chance that he doesn't bring something that, in case he doesn't lead Lilligant Torkoal. Golduck's actually kind of tempting. Because it would allow me to just switch, but I think I'm actually going to go Xurkitree, Pelipper, and I like Metagross a lot, especially with the Bulu Sylveon combination on my opponent's team, and Salamence even. So I'm going to lock in, and we'll see how this goes. My opponent exhausting time just until the end, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, if you do, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And as I mentioned, there's a lot more stuff basically coming soon. Team report. I wanted to kind of analyze the London metagame as well, and San Jose Regionals is this weekend. So once those two tournaments are over, we'll talk a little bit about the state of VGC 17 and you know, some of the popular teams that we've seen so far. So we are going to get into this first game. Going to be Lele and Xurkitree as my lead here, which I think, you know, gives me options against everything my opponent can bring. It's actually going to be Tapu Bulu and the Togedemaru as the lead here for my opponent, so not what I was anticipating, but that's not the worst. Also not amazing though, but I'm definitely going to want to switch to Metagross immediately here. The one bad thing is that Bulu is going to get the grassy terrain up as opposed to my psychic terrain, so that's a little bit frustrating. Now there's obviously potential Fake Out coming out from the Togedemaru. Let's see. I do have Substitute here. Like, a Protect is kind of obvious. I think the safest play really is to just protect Lele and switch into Metagross, because Metagross has pretty good positioning against both my opponent's current Pokemon. If I switch into Pelipper, it also means the potential Torkoal in the back could be cause trouble. But yeah, it's kind of refreshing not to see Torkoal Lilligant, because the thing about that lead that's really troublesome is against like my kind of team, it's basically very dependent on Sleep Powder, so it can be a little bit frustrating if they hit all their Sleep Powders and just go from there. But it does lead to a lot of mind games as well, because it's like, do you just go for an after you attack on the first turn, or do you predict the Pelipper switch immediately, and do you try to Sleep Powder the Pelipper slot or the opposing slot? So Xurkitree is going to switch out into Metagross, and I'm just going for a protect, basically trying to get better board position right now. We'll see. The worst that maybe a Nuzzle coming out of Substitute or a Leech Seed from Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu actually went for the Protect. Okay, that's fine. And maybe a Nuzzle. Yeah, Fake Out. So Fake Out Protect. That actually makes some sense if you're worried about a potential like Z move, which I do have obviously on my Lele. So now begs the question, like, maybe I want to consider switching out. Togedemaru is still a pretty big threat. Actually, I could Substitute here. I'm going to go for that, because I am running Substitute. And looking at my opponent's team, nothing can take a Meteor Mash outside of Torkoal, and if Torkoal switches in, then Lele's in a pretty decent position. So I'm actually just going to launch the Meteor Mash onto Bulu, since it did protect last turn. Another play I could have made, and he is going to switch out, yeah. I could have Bullet Punched Psychic that slot. It's going to be Salamence coming in, though, and I'm okay with that, because that's a choice-banded Meteor Mash going into Salamance's slot. But I will have to conserve my Metagross, because there is the Bulu in the back still. So, yep, Lele is going to get its substitute off first. That's a great move to have up right now against my opponent's team. And we see the Zing Zap come out. Let's see. Targeting the Metagross slot, so I could flinch here. No flinch, though, and no miss. Meteor Mash is able to just connect with that Salamence, which is incredible. And it picks up the one-hit knockout with the Choice Band, and I get the attack increase. That turn couldn't have played out any better. And I have this sustained healing from Tapu Lele, so yeah, that was pretty much the perfect turn, and like my opponent doesn't get anything out of that. The Intimidate doesn't do anything. Like the only thing that he really gets out of it is that now Bulu can protect again, but the substitute on Tapu Lele right now is also being very, very clutch, because you know, even if something like Torkoal comes in, I can just take an attack from it. Although I suppose that Togedemaru can knock out myself with the Zing Zap. But yeah, that's something about Togedemaru. It's obviously very similar to a more defensive or kind of support-oriented Mon, and we do see Tapu Bulu come back in, which is fine by me. Let's see. Now I could protect. It's not really an issue though. I have Pelipper in the back. Togedemaru is honestly a bigger threat. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna Psychic that slot and Meteor Mash Tapu Bulu. Like, Tapu Bulu probably wants to protect here, but I don't think he can even knock out Metagross, so it's like, okay, then you're kind of forced to protect Bulu and attack with Togedemaru, and he doesn't protect her, which is really good unless he can somehow knock out Metagross. Psychic there, not doing too much damage, but any damage is good. Zing Zap coming out, yep. Gonna be targeting down Metagross again, okay, interesting. He does have superpower, but he oh no, it does target a Metagross slot. Yep, but Metagross's Bolt coming in there, I'm able to hang on, and I should be able to get this. Hopefully I connect with Meteor Mash. Yep, I do. So that's going to be a one-hit knockout on Tapu Bulu as well, unless he's sashed. Nope. Excellent. So, yeah, my opponent either trying to go for a flinch. I have been lucky that I haven't missed Meteor Mashes, and he hasn't flinched me with Zing Zap, but yeah, the sustained healing is so great right now from the grassy terrain as well, so even though it looked really bad for me at first, you know, I've been able to take advantage of it. And Metagross still is at +1 attack. I've got Pelipper, and I've got Xurkitree in the back. Obviously, now, none of those match up too nicely against the Togedemaru, but with Torkoal coming in here from my opponent, this is actually perfect, because I basically locked my opponent in. All I have to do is launch a Psychic Z move onto Torkoal, and I am faster, and I'm just going to switch Metagross out right now. Because I do have Earthquake, which could hit... Actually, maybe I'll just stay in. No, I still like switching out here, so I can basically pin my opponent. And I'm going to switch out into Xurkitree. So what this allows me to do is, Torkoal has to protect here if my opponent wants any chance of winning the game. And even if it protects, it will take some chip damage from the Z move. And if he doesn't, or if he does protect, then I'll have Xurkitree in next turn. But yeah, he's not protecting here, so I'm going to be able to just get this Z move off, and that's a knockout onto Torkoal, and that's going to be a game. So basically... attacking around the Togedemaru, because I know it doesn't do very much damage offensively to my team composition, so that's not something that I was very worried about. So Shattered Psyche is going to come out, really cool animation, and Torkoal being very, very thorough on the defensive spectrum cannot take these well at all. So that is going to be a instant knockout. Yep. So I really wasn't expecting Choice Band Meteor Mash to just knock out that Salamence, but you know, it really did the job. Zing Zap coming through. My opponent's just not targeting down the Tapu Lele slot. One of the reasons why I did go for the substitute earlier was because I feared the potential Nuzzle. Of course, Nuzzle paralyzes me, and Tapu Lele being able to outspeed my opponent's team, that was one of the most important things. So, yeah, now it's just pretty clear-cut, you know, attack. It is a 4v1, my opponent hasn't been able to even do that much damage, so, yeah, it should be game, obviously, at this point. But, yeah, I was pretty happy not to see the lead of, I kind of wanted, oh, wait, wow, oopsies, I actually realized just now that switching in Xurkitree was actually silly, because he does have Lightning Rod on Togedemaru, so you guys were probably like, why are you switching that in? But it wouldn't have been too bad, so I didn't actually want to switch into Pelipper because of the fact that it has Focus Sash, and Sash Pelipper does a lot of damage. I mean, it's able to get a Tailwind up, and then I'll just be able to outspeed and win the game. But that was kind of silly. Like, you know, obviously Thunderbolt doesn't do anything. However, what it would have been able to set me up for is Discharge with Xurkitree, because obviously you can't redirect the spread move of Discharge. So even at Torkoal protected that last turn, the next turn I would just go for a Discharge and a Psychic most likely. Although the fear there is I could fully paralyze myself. Terrain is going to fall there. So that making myself look kind of silly. But I'm just going to switch out into... actually, I'll just double switch here, yo. Obviously, Xurkitree's locked in, so I can't do anything. But with Pelipper, I can just Tailwind, and then I'll get Psychic Terrain up. I mean, Togedemaru can't 4v1 a team, so right now it's just playing things out. But Togedemaru is a really interesting Pokemon. I think it's actually has a lot of potential. We have already seen a couple perform on top teams. You know, a bunch of top players were using it at London. Yeah, it's a really good fake out user. Lightning Rod is just a really good ability in this format. Not many Pokemon even get access to that. He actually has Poison Jab on it. That's not even a move I thought it got access to, so you learn something new every day there. But yeah, and I'm just gonna Earthquake here, and I'll Tailwind for good measure, so that my Pelipper is guaranteed to outspeed it in future turns. And yeah, that's pretty much a wrap. But I do think that Torkoal probably should have protected on that last turn, but maybe my opponent was hoping I wasn't going for Protect. We do see Zingzap go into Metagross, so it does pick up the knockout there. So no 4-0, but it's all good. Tailwind will come out. And one of the reasons why I actually led with Xurkitree is because double special attackers threaten Lilligant Torkoal in the sense that you can switch one out into, for example, you can switch one out into Pelipper, and the other one can just go for a special type attack. Because under the rain, Eruption won't be picking up knockouts. But yeah, my opponent, revealing, I think, wait, is that the full moveset? We saw Fake Out. We haven't seen the fourth actually, but it's probably Nuzzle. So yeah, now I just Psychic Skull, and that's game. But Togedemaru actually can be very frustrating to play against, especially when you have an electric-type Pokemon such as Xurkitree on your team. Let's see how much this is. With Psychic Terrain up, a little bit less than I actually would have expected. It's been pretty bulky here, but Scald coming out, and that should not actually... Is that Assault Vested? It's gotta be, right? Now that I think about it, like, that would only make sense. Especially since we've only seen attacking moves thus far. That's pretty cool if it is. I actually don't know Togedemaru's like exact bulk distribution. I know it's not incredible, but once again, you can really turn any Pokemon that's not absurdly frill, like pretty bulky if you just invest in HP and defenses. My opponent is going to forfeit here. So, pretty long and drawn out game, but relatively clean one. I was a little bit fortunate in hitting my attacks there with Metagross and not getting like flinched or anything, but yeah, really happy about that first game. And honestly, like the switch into Metagross just made things really difficult for my opponent because Metagross plus Tapu Lele as a combination gave my opponent so much trouble. And that's a lead, composition that I actually really like leading with when I play with this team. But when you play against Lilligant Torkoal, you have to be a little bit more aware of the fact that they can just after you Eruption. So leading with Xurkitree kind of pressures everything else my opponent could have had. So we do pick up a win there, which is nice. And we're just gonna look for our next game. Exciting match there, though, for sure. And every time I see Lilligant Torkoal in Team Preview, I'm a little bit scared. I actually faced, I believe it was 3 or 4 Lilligant Torkoal teams over in London, and I lost to one. And I think part of it is that, like, I don't have a definitive game plan against that. If you have a Pokemon that can just directly counter that, I know some people are trying out Safety Goggles Arcanine, makes your life a little bit easier. But we are going to find Darby for our second opponent of the day. Darby with a pretty high rating, rocking a team of Celesteela, Garchomp, Alola, Marowak, Gyarados, Tapu Koko, and Porygon 2. So 6 of the more common Pokemon you'll see in the format right now. And against these teams, I typically have 2 different modes. I could go with the Rain mode of Golduck and Pelipper, or I could go with the Tapu Lele Metagross composition. So 2 options. The thing about the Lele Metagross composition is that you can, 1, immediately nuke the Porygon, and 2, it gives the Tapu Koko some more trouble, especially if there's Sash, because I don't know the item on Tapu Koko. But I don't know, I still kind of want to go with Rain here. Xurkitree is still good for late game finishers. And for the last one, it's actually between Metagross and Lele. Lele would be nice because it would get rid of Electric Terrain. But Metagross is... I guess Metagross is weaker if you don't have Psychic Terrain up. Maybe I want to bring Metagross and Lele then instead of Xurkitree. But the thing is, if he doesn't get Trick Room up, Xurkitree puts in so much work. And, like, you've got to be a little bit scared of bringing Marowak against Brui Rain types. Although people still do it, and it's a smart decision. It's really between Metagross and Tapu Lele. I am going to go with... I'm going to go with Metagross. It's a little bit bulkier. And a little bit slower, so if my opponent does set up Trick Room, then I can actually use that to my advantage. So, these teams are pretty fun to play against, but the scary thing is you never know the items of anything, so you really have to be careful, and it's like a kind of a guessing game, especially in best of 1. So, let's see what my opponent decides to lead with. That's a pretty cool outfit. I think we actually have the same shirt. The trendy polo shirt. Gyarados and Porygon 2. Okay. So Metagross Lele might have been a little bit better of a lead option, but that's okay. Because what I can do is what I've been doing in a lot of the other episodes or games where I literally just double up in a Porygon immediately with the boosted Water Z move and the Scald. And I do want to eliminate Porygon because Gyarados is obviously not as much of a threat. Download is going to give it a special attack increase, so you do have to be aware that Porygon 2s, of course, can carry Thunderbolt. So I'm just going to Scald, Z-move, and go for the Hydro Vortex from Hydro Pump onto Porygon 2. And he's staying in with both, which is good. One reason why I'm not as concerned about that Gyarados is because I do have the Scarf Circuitry in the back. That's why I wanted to bring it, because it matches up really nicely against Gyarados and Garchomp. So, gonna get this Hydro Vortex off, boosted by the Rain, max special attack from Golduck, one of the strongest attacks in the game. So far, I was able to knock out the Porygons we played against with this plus Scald, but I don't know. That should be in KO range. He's actually going for a Z-move of his own. It's going to be the Water Z-move as well. Hydro Vortex coming out from Gyarados, so both of us just going all in on this first turn. But it's promising to me to see the Z-move because, one, it means he's not getting a Dragon Dance off, and two, it means that Circuitry can just Thunderbolt it for a free one-hit knockout, or even Discharge if I'm afraid of the potential Marowak. I don't think this will knock me out, but let's see. Yeah, Golduck hangs on. Nice. So let's see if Pelipper's Scald can knock out this Porygon too. Should be able to. Yeah, excellent. So that played out how I wanted it to. Got the knockout on Porygon. Gyarados busted its Z-move, and even though that did a lot of damage, I'd rather have him Z-move my Golduck than, for example, something like my Tapu. Or I didn't bring Tapu Lane, sorry, my Metagross. But Celesteela, Gyarados, seeing both of those right now, like Circuitry obviously would like to, or would love to come in. Let's see, based on my opponent's team composition, Coco could be in the back, or it could be Marowak. I think, so I'd really like to just pick up a knockout here. I do have Hydro Pump, but I hate the chance of missing. I do have the Tailwind option as well, which is tempting. But I suppose that's not as big of a deal. I might just double attack here, actually. Actually, he can't do too much to Pelipper, so I'm gonna Hurricane Gyarados and protect with my Golduck, yeah. So I'm curious if he has Circuitry in the back, because if not, then this game will be a lot easier. Oh, Gyarados Dragon Dances. Good move. So I maybe should have doubled up in that. That's a little bit scary. But I should still be faster with my Golduck. Oof! That does so... gets a crit there. And the Confusion! Oh! A little bit of RNG there going my way. And we see the Heavy Slam go into the Protect slot. That's perfect. Yeah, okay. Nice. So here I'm definitely Tailwinding. And I'm just going to Scald into Gyarados. I don't think the crit or the Confusion mattered. Well, we'll see whether it matters here. He is going for the Protect here, I think. And he hits himself in Confusion. Yeah, so that definitely obviously matters now, because... really unfortunate. You know, I don't like to win by with RNG because, you know, good VGC players should be able to play cleanly. But I'm not saying like, oh, I'm gonna complain or anything. And I get the burn. Oh, I feel so bad right now. Like, it is just Pokemon, but like, you know, you should be able to, as a mark of a good VGC player, be able to win without any RNG. Heavy Slam's gonna come out, but I do have the Tailwind up. So, you know, even if he was going for Protect there with Gyarados, so maybe he just outsped me naturally. Like, that would have been fine because then I get the Tailwind up. Celesteela doesn't do anything with Heavy Slam against me, and even more unfortunate for my opponent, Golduck still stays around. So, pretty much everything going my way right now. And with Celesteela burned as well, that makes it a lot more difficult because you saw, and he had Marowak in the back. Okay, so Marowak was the last one, which is why I wanted to knock out the Gyarados, because it means once Marowak is out, I can just, you know, Scald into that slot. So I'm just gonna go for the safe Scald onto Celesteela and the Scald onto Marowak. Basically, Marowak's probably going to Protect here. But that's fine. I've got Tailwind up, and I've got Metagross in the back. And he does go for the Protect, so, you know, I could have looked fancy by double Scalding into Celesteela, but the thing is, then Marowak could actually get an attack off. Instead here, basically, what I'm doing is I get guaranteed damage off against the Celesteela, and Celesteela can't even go for a Leech Seed right now, because if it does, then I can just still Scald next turn. So he does go for the Heavy Slam, as you see. Probably targeting out Golduck, as it does. Yep. But that just means a free switch in for me, and that's also good news. So let's see what stat boost it gets there, though. Gonna be special defense, yeah. Okay. So, you know, that's obviously a good boost to have, and Burn makes things a little bit more difficult, but it, you know, did get nerfed from last gen, where it would do an eighth of your HP. Instead, now it's basically trades off of leftovers, so if you have lefties, then you actually don't take any Burn, or like, it basically heals back all the residual damage from Burn. So that's obviously good. But yeah, with Metagross in, I am just going to... I'm prioritizing knocking out Marowak because I know I've got the Circuitry in the back, so I'm just going to Scald Earthquake here. He's probably going to go for the double, yep. Does get it, but once again, like, I'm going to outspeed him anyway. So Scald going into it. I could have Scalded into Celesteela. He's probably going to go for a Leech Seed, but once again, that's not my concern because I've got Circuitry in the back. And Circuitry wins just a 1v1 against Celesteela. We do see the Leech Seed coming out here. Good target on Pelipper. Good target there. Breaks its Focus Sash. Rain does stop, but once again, that's still fine. Tailwind's still up too. So, not much my opponent can do. I guess he could triple protect, crit burn, flamethrower if he has it maybe. Like, that could be annoying, but I'm just going for the 100% safe. I mean, I guess it's not technically 100% because if my opponent were able to pull like a triple protect off with Marowak, and he's like max speed Marowak, because my Metagross could get outsped by like Jolly 252 speed Marowak, and that could be a problem. But he needs to get this triple protect off right now. If he doesn't get a triple protect off, the game is over. Even if he does, like, everything still needs to go right. He's not actually even going for it, so that's gonna be game. But Marowak able to hang on from the Scald there because Rain, of course, is not up. But Metagross will get this Choice Banded Earthquake off. Obviously, extra damage output not really needed, but yeah. So that's good. That's a knockout, and it's 3-1 now. But Celesteela, like I said, is one of those Pokemon that could 3v1, and if I didn't have Circuitry in the back, like if I had Tapu Lele in the back, then this game could still be a little bit scary, although I suppose what I would do is just switch into Tapu Lele, then I'd have Psychic Terrain up, and it would just go from there. But I am just going to switch out this next turn. Pelipper will stay in. It's going to switch Metagross out into Zerg. And Celesteela can't do anything against Circuitry. Like, even if he crits, or I guess he could substitute. But you see how much Celesteela, or why, it's being used so much in this format. It is because it is just so bulky, and it can take all these attacks so darn well. But, yeah. He doesn't have any offensive pressure. Tailwind Peter's out, that's fine. That doesn't matter at all at this point. So, I am just going to Scald here, and even though he's got the special defense increase, that's fine. Circuitry can just finish things off. I could even Discharge to get a Beast Boost from my own Pelipper, which was something I had built around, or not built around, but it was like a play that I definitely had considered making before. But at this point, yeah, it's pretty clean. So, that is why I did bring Circuitry, and I'm kind of glad I did, instead of something like the Tapu Lele. Specifically for the late game, because late game Scarf Circuitry does so well against Gyarados, Garchomp, and Celesteela. And even Tapu Koko, like, Thunderbolt's like a 2-hit KO with Electric Terrain up, so you can really take advantage of that. A good call by my opponent, though, going for the Leech Seed onto the Circuitry slot, so yeah, that's the thing. My opponent can keep Leech Seeding right now, which is a little bit annoying, but that's fine. I could make a cute play of switching into Metagross and Volt Switching to get back into Pelipper. But yeah, I think I'm just going to switch and Thunderbolt that slot. I mean, he can't do anything. Sure, he has the seeds up, but it's just like formalities at this point. I'll just Thunderbolt, yeah. And, Celesteela here either protects or goes for an attack, but Metagross then will be able to put some more offensive pressure. And with the Choice Band, like Zen Headbutt, Meteor Mashes are still doing like 25-30%. He does go for a Protector, which is fine. I could have Volt Switched my own Metagross slot to make sure like he didn't have any Leaf Seed recovery anymore, but it's a little bit excessive, and no reason to take any extra damage on my side right now. But yeah, this Celesteela has healed back such a large amount, and that's why it can be bothersome. But the nice thing was I was able to just play around it once again, and I was able to get rid of the one check because Marowak does threatens my Circuitry. But yeah, I'll just don't want Earthquake there. That would actually make me lose the game. I will just go for the Meteor Mash and the Thunderbolt, and I think they'll pick up the knockout outright, especially with the even with the special defense boost. Like, Circuitry does so much to Celesteela. Actually, not as much as I thought, but let's see whether this Meteor Mash can finish things off. Nice. So Choice Band Meteor Mash coming out from Metagross and closing up the game there. So pretty exciting games today. Honestly, they were, I don't know, more one-sided, but because they were long and drawn out, but it felt like at both games it was like I was able to put myself into a position where like all I had to do is make safe guaranteed plays, and it was enough for me to win the game. So I don't know, I really like being able to put myself into those positions because then it makes playing a lot easier, and you don't have to make like absurd predictions or just go all in on crazy reads, which can be really hard in Pokemon, especially when you're against really good players. But this one was more clean cut. It was like, okay, was able to get some good offensive pressuring or positioning, and a lot of it hinges off, you know, what do you lead with and what can you switch yourself into on the first turn, and how do you go from there. So this game executing pretty well. I'm pretty content about that, and yeah, we're just continuing our climb up. So that's gonna be it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. All right, peace.